Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Rags to Riches podcast. Today we have a very good friend of mine all the way from India. Actually, I say all the way, but I'm also in India. But anyway, his name is Akshay Tyagi. He is very well known for being a celebrity stylist to some of the biggest or most well-known actors in Bollywood, the likes of Hrithik Roshan, Varun Dhawan, and so on. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Akshay, are you there?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming on the podcast, my friend.
Thank you very much. I'm excited because you're some fancy pants now, so I guess I'm happy to spend some time with you.
Yeah, long time no speak actually, and it's good because today we get to talk about your journey to stardom, not mine.
That is apparently what the agenda is, although I am not such a big star as you think, but I'm highly flattered that you think so.
Hey, do you know what? Out of all the guests I've had on, everyone's remained incredibly humble to the fact whatever job they're doing and how they've got there and everything. But I just want to, say, even though people like yourself might be humble, in some other people's eyes looking on, you are, very much high in the job area that you do. So working for the people that you do and styling these individuals, that is really, I would say, top of the chain for people who want to become stylists, Would you agree?
I mean, yes, I think a lot of times people kind of assume or think that the process or the way that I have achieved whatever I have achieved is somehow better than them, or the struggle that they are facing that they can sort of be enlightened by kind of getting a peek into how I did it.
Yeah, exactly.
To which I always want to make sure that everyone is aware that it always seems far easier that's afar as opposed to the way it is. It's also not the only way that things happen.
Yeah.
It's about the fact that, I did certain things my way and it seemed to work for me. And I think generally across the board with anyone who has faced success in any certain regard, always forgets to realize that everyone kind of did it their own way, and there's no such one clear formula behind it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is true, actually. So let's go into it then. So, where did this all start for you? What age were you when you decided, right, I want to go into fashion or styling and I want to style these people? Is that how it went, or was it a bit more broader than that?
Styling kind of came about really sort of organically for me. It was never something that was even sort of entertained as a potential outcome. Right. I was always into fashion. I mean, as a young child, I was also kind of started dabbling in designing, and I was really excited by the whole glam of fashion and the dream that the fashion world sort of offers you in its visual way. I used to design. I was clear that I was going to stick into some arena of fashion, and I think the more I educated myself in the field, the more I learned that you needed to have the sort of inner clarity as to where you're heading and sense of direction, sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's not just about the passion behind it, it's also about the commerce behind it, it's also about the logic behind it, it's about the logistics behind it. So sometimes you start taking decisions as you grow more into a somewhat sensible adult, that you start adulting about it. So I think...
Go on.
Yeah, go on, you go on.
So was it... at what point were you in your life when it was like, okay, because you say you started and it wasn't really... The direction you're in now or where you are was not something that was really on your mind. So you knew you wanted to be in styling and that kind of thing and fashion. So how did it even come about then that that came into your horizon, let's say, and you thought, okay, this is, I might as well take this step and see where that path leads me.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was about being open to opportunities and certain sort of perspectives that I may not have had myself, because there's no point in being rigid about your own process and kind of then leading to a space of disappointment for yourself because you've not achieved the X goal that you have set out for yourself technically in the beginning. Because you have to understand it's a process of embracing and understanding and identifying and then re-identifying and then deciding. And it's a choice that you make, right? At the end of the day, it was a choice that I made to sort of venture into styling, especially with Bollywood and such. But it was a choice that was made out of no real sort of planning. It was just that it happened. I moved back from Canada unexpectedly at a point where I did not anticipate. Right. And then I had to seek out and understand the kind of work environment or the work sort of activity that was brewing in Bombay. Yeah. And I think I met you quite early on in this process where I know we shared a lot of conversation about how a lot of things kind of just felt like they were happening without me really even knowing that they were happening. So I think the important part was remembering the fact or reminding myself constantly of the fact that I had to be aware of what it is that I was doing, as opposed to just sort of blindly following a certain trajectory that was sort of laying itself out. It's important to always remember your sense of purpose and direction and integrity in any work that you put in. And I think that is where, I guess about, 4 years ago, I kind of took a little bit of a break and sort of reevaluated exactly why it is that I was doing what I was doing, as opposed to just doing what I was doing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, that leads me on to the question then, and I think some people might be thinking it. Why did you make the decision? Because obviously we don't need to go over your whole life period here, but you said that you went from Canada and you made the decision to come back to Mumbai, Bombay, and that's kind of where it all started or stemmed from. So, what was the reasoning behind making that move, and then how did it flourish when you came into Mumbai? What was the process from going from that to straight into styling of X, Y, and Z celebrities? How did that happen?
I think firstly it was not really of any clear choice of my own. A lot of people find that hard to digest. I moved back actually purely for bureaucratic reasons. And when I did move back, it was a very jarring sort of situation for me to sort of decide what it is that I wanted to do. But my clear agenda was that I needed to, survive and be on my own and be able to figure it out. So I was open to sort of testing out new avenues and new territories that was still always rooted back in passion. So it was not like that I was going to suddenly switch into life coaching or economics or something. It was like, I still enjoy passion absolutely to my inner core. So how is it that, what are the kind of things that are happening in this city that are relevant to that? And I kind of put myself out there in every opportunity that presented itself, whether it was a really short-term stint with helping one person as an assistant, whether it was another stint of sort of testing out on my own the kind of editorial things I wanted to create. And I think it's always important to constantly create in this field. You have to kind of not get complacent. You kind of have to not think that one way is the only way around anything. So I think I embraced everything that came my way, and then sort of started to settle with where I was enjoying it and where I was not enjoying it. Was it a financial driven decision? Was it a emotional driven decision? What is a decision completely based on the fact that, hey, I get to travel to, Argentina for 6 weeks, like why not?
Yeah.
So it was kind of really open-ended in the beginning, and I think that is where I noticed that when I was sort of being pulled in different directions, is that it was important to reel myself back in and be like, but wait, what is my direction in all of this?
I think that's something that we all have to we all have to remind ourselves after, a certain period of time in whatever field that you're in, we have to constantly reevaluate and maybe pull ourselves back and keep realigning ourselves with the direction that we want to go in. Do you think?
Absolutely. I think it's important that you maintain that dialogue constantly with yourself, because otherwise you will just get stuck in a system somewhere where you don't know what it is you're doing, and end up eventually possibly getting frustrated and then being disappointed and then being like, oh my god, I wasted all this time on all this thing. What is the purpose of life? Why am I even here?
Yeah.
So I think it's good to sort of keep a constant check with yourself that are you happy?
Definitely true.
Are you feeling joy? Does this give you positivity, or is this adding more negativity to your life? Or is it stressing you out? Is it changing who you are as a person? So
yeah, that's a good point actually. But one thing that maybe not only I found myself, but knowing people like you and other people in not just your area but other areas, is the fact that even though we have to reevaluate and see if we're going in the real direction we want and really think about how stuff is affecting us, it's quite obvious to me that we all have to go through periods of, I'm going to call it negativity. So extended periods where things are insanely tough and taxing and stressful, but that in the big grand scheme of things, they are kind of essential. Like, you can't go down any of these routes without experiencing that. So I would just I'm not going to hesitate, but I know that you'll have been through periods where you're like, sorry for the language, but you're like, oh my fucking god, like, what the fuck is happening? This is ridiculous. But you still go through, don't you? You still make that decision, right? I'm pushing through. And I think these kind of periods really help us navigate, really. They teach us a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I think absolutely correct, because I think one thing that people tend to forget in the process of learning and growing is that you learn the most from the mistakes you have made. You learn the most from an experience that kind of really questioned you on your own abilities or your own credibility. And I think that is where this conversation about actually being a little more self-aware and introverted is not being really had that often, because everyone sort of focuses on the glitzy and sort of more sparkly things that are happening, and so-called the Instagram filter. But what is happening behind the scenes? What is it that you're doing with yourself? Are you spending an hour in the morning meditating? Are you spending an hour in the evening exercising? Are you maintaining yourself as the best version of yourself, and are you operating and vibrating at that frequency constantly, is what I think is important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just going back to like maybe the start of your journey when you moved back to Mumbai, something I found quite interesting what you said was how you should always be creating. And it's something that I think people look on at people like you or others similar, and in all other areas of jobs, is like, oh, how did that person get there? What are they doing that's so much better? And I always find that you and others have, from the start, before you started earning money from this, before you started working with such people, there's always a period where people are creating and putting themselves out there, if not for free, going and doing a job and helping someone for free, even if that's a day job, just for one day. You're adding that to your, let's call it a string to your bow.
Your experience bank, I call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think the more you do, the more you know, and the more you know, the more you're prepared. And the more you're prepared, the more you're able to decide better.
Yeah.
So I think for me it was about not focusing on maybe the immediate sort of goal or the outcome of something, but also sometimes by being a little more empirical in my learning process, I was able to just sort of put it out, be like, okay, let me just do it and decide if I like it.
Yeah.
Let me just do that and see if I don't like it. And it was important to sort of do that because that's the only way you'll know yourself.
That is true. I think it's even more essential. I know it's only been like 4 years or so since you made that move, but I really think like people nowadays...
I've been in Bombay for 8 years.
All right, 8 years, but 4 years since you've been doing this kind of work, is it?
4 years since I kind of switched my approach to my work, where I noticed a lot more conscious choices of the things I was doing and going with the upward swing as opposed to sort of being at a status quo.
Yeah, so you spent basically 4 years as status quo, would you say?
Well, I spent about three and a half years. At kind of first year sort of understanding what it was, then 1 year sort of just sort of being in it, and then another year sort of questioning it. And that's when I sort of stopped and took a pause and was like, wait, is this what I want, and this is how I want it, and this is what I want my life to be?
Do you know what?
That's when I was able to question that, yeah.
Do you know what? It's really good you said that, actually, that how long it took, because people trying to find their own way and trying to find how they can get to our level, like, let's just keep referring to the fact that you are working with such people. Forget how famous they are, whatever. Some people genuinely want to work their way up to that position. Now, listening to what you've just said, it's like it took you nearly 4 years of just thinking and pausing and doing such things until you really kind of came into yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's something that people don't see as someone's journey.
Right.
Do you get it?
No, correct, absolutely correct on that front, yeah.
And I, even looking at myself, you know, before I made my own move to India, there's still 3 or 4 years of me doing fucking loads of random work. Do you know what I mean? All kind of around the same thing, but really hit and miss, trying things. Do I like it? Should I go forward with that? And even though you're in a different area, it's really kind of similar with how people work out their, you know, how to navigate what they're doing.
I mean, I guess that the best analogy I kind of see it in this matter is that, look at this Wizard of Oz, right? You know, Dorothy has to reach Oz, but she stops along the way and learns different like feelings or experiences or sort of different aspects of life that she wasn't anticipating because she was like, I just need to keep going on the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
But that is what I think is important, is that, you know, yeah, Oz is still there at the end of the road. It's just that, are you mindful of the lion along the way, or the scarecrow along the way, or the tin man along the way, and what are you learning from that? So I think you have to be open and aware to your surroundings of the process itself, because actually there's nothing more important than the journey as opposed to the destination.
Yeah, this is so true, so true. I think people always just they want to get to somewhere, but they forget about the journey and really just enjoying the journey as it goes. I think you lose yourself as soon as you think about where you're going as opposed to enjoying the journey you're on.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So, like, doing what you've done or what you're doing now, what have you found you've learned about working with such people that's maybe been a shock to you, or what's a shock in your job that you didn't anticipate?
That no day is ever the same.
Yeah.
You could walk into somebody, because at the end of the day, I think we forget sometimes that, like, you're also working with people who have emotions and their own life going on beyond the fact that they're celebrities or beyond the fact that they're personalities, and you are offering a service to them, yes, but you're also kind of engaging in them and you're interacting with them. So I think it's important for me to always keep in mind that I could walk into any sort of mood, I could walk into any sort of situation. Something bad could have happened, something good could have happened, something maybe I was distracted along the way and I reached to a certain fitting unprepared, then I have to be able to deal with the repercussions. I shouldn't be able to sort of just lie my way through it or whatever, right? So I think these are things that keep me on my toes. It's like that no day is the same and no one is ever the same. So as long as you do the best possible version and offer the best possible version of yourself, we've come prepared, you are professional, you're on time, you are dedicated, you are prepared for the after effects, you're prepared for the able to answer to yourself and able to answer to them, then I think you've done your bit. You can only do that much. And there may be times that somebody doesn't see it, and that's fine, but that doesn't mean you have to consistently sort of fight it out. You can sometimes let go and be okay with it.
Yeah, and so do you ever feel like you working with such people, do you ever feel like they have more of a say on the job you do? Like, you're a stylist and you have your own way of seeing things and doing things and how you want things to be, but you're working with like quite powerful personalities, as you say. So does this like affect how you do your job, and like do some people allow you to do your job more than others, like that kind of thing?
I mean, I think it's important to remind myself that yes, I have a certain preset vision that I want to offer. But like I said, again, they are human as well. So they also have a vision about themselves. And, the idea is that you have to get to a place of collaborative effort and a place of listening and conversing and seeing how do they feel when they wear a certain item of clothing.
Yeah.
Because if they're not comfortable, then what is the point of me forcing that upon them? Because then I'm not doing a good job. If they are not looking proportionately correct as per my technical understanding, then it is my duty to tell them that this doesn't feel right. But if you feel it's okay, then sure, we can come to an agreement or agree to disagree on the matter, right? So and it's okay because it's a give and take. It's a back and forth. It's a constant dialogue. It's not just like, here are clothes, wear it, end of story. Or they're like, give me these clothes, that's what I want, end of story. Then we're not really operating on a positive level. We're operating just on a very transactional level. So I think it's important to remember that.
Yeah, I mean, from watching you firsthand and doing your job, like I haven't seen you for a few years doing it, but do you feel that...
Your loss.
Yeah, what a loss, eh? I should be watching you every day, but...
Yeah, babe, hook it up.
But honestly, doing your job, like through the years, let's say, do you feel you've become more, from the experience, have you become like more, I don't know how to say it, like powerful in your decision making? Like, because I know working with these people, going into it, you must be quite apprehensive, these people, I'll let them have their say and stuff. But as the years have gone by, have you become more like, authoritative, if that makes sense?
I think less than authoritative. You kind of become clearer as to
with your message.
The voice. Yeah, with your message. You become a lot more aware of the distilling process that you are going through with your own work.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's important to acknowledge and remember that you are hiring me for a reason. You're not just hiring me because I'm going to just bring you a black t-shirt. You're hiring me for a purpose, and that purpose comes with a voice, with an opinion, with a perspective, with a vision. And if you're not embracing that perspective or vision from my side, then why do you want to go through the process of even offering it to somebody who's not appreciative of it? So I kind of make sure I always be like, this is what I would feel, and this is what I think is best. And you develop a sense of confidence and trust in your own work then, because when enough people sort of try it out, because I think everyone is afraid to try, everyone's afraid to take a risk. And if you don't take a risk, then you won't know whether that worked or not. If you want to go to a black t-shirt, you can, it works, that's fine. It's tried, tested, fail safe. But what about a bright pink t-shirt? Maybe that somehow just makes all the difference. And that adds a certain angle that you may have not anticipated. So I think keeping that room open for these experiments is always important, but also embracing that the professional you have, reached out to is a professional for a reason, is still surviving for some reason, is still getting work for some reason, and is, doing things that resonate with you as well at some level. So
yeah, I think because I interviewed or I spoke with Ranveer Singh's trainer on the first podcast I had, and
correct.
One thing that I captured from that, which is quite similar to what you're saying, is that the mutual respect him and like Ranveer have. Even though Ranveer is a real big personality, he has this respect for the trainer's work, and then that respect allows Lloyd to do his work more effectively, and obviously Lloyd shows respect the other way. And I think it sounds like you have and I think also Lloyd, the trainer, has developed that over years, if that makes sense. So he's now at a point where he's got enough work under his belt over years that he can be a bit more, his message is very clear.
Yeah, I guess you get like that, right? Because the more you kind of put out this kind of energy about doing things that you actually believe in and delivering results that you believe and set out to deliver, then you will automatically start being like, okay, this is working, this is working, this is working. So let me continue with it, as opposed to fighting it out or screaming or being emotional and running away from it because it's stressful. Or, I always love challenges. For me, it's always much more exciting when somebody poses more challenges to me as opposed to say, just do this, because I'm just like, I find that a waste of my time and energy. And then I'm just like, but I don't want to do that, I have more to say, and if it's not being said with you, it's okay. Like, you will have your ways of being and working and doing things, and I will find whoever it is that wants to resonate with me on that front. So I think you gain that kind of confidence over time that, that you have to trust the universe that something will align if something else is not aligning.
Yes.
Because one door closing is one door opening, is one no means two yeses, or two yeses mean three no's. Like, doesn't matter. Like, every decision has a chain reaction.
Yeah, this is true. So I guess finally, I want to know, because we've kind of been through the journey and the things you have to go through, but I'm quite curious to think, what are the, as apart from just simply working with these people who are idols in some people's views, what is the real good things and the benefits of your job? What do you get to do every day? What is it, the things that you love?
I mean, I think I'm really fortunate. I get to deliver a certain sort of perspective on menswear, fashion, styling, grooming, with personalities that have the kind of audience for it to be appreciated in a big manner. I think it's, doesn't come across to everyone and all the time. And there is always a period of time that, you are at a certain spotlight level, and then there's a period of time that you're not in the spotlight. So I think it's how you use those opportunities to give a true message out, about your work, and be earnest and be respectful to your own work, and do the best possible version, because it's going out there. It's not something that's just happening in your living room for your own self. It's going out into the world, it's going out into somebody else's project, into a bigger world. And then, it's also in the whole world of now social media, and then there's opinions and there's reactions. And I think that's what leverages a certain voice and a personality to become, so-called quote-unquote celebrity status. So
So is it something? Is it a goal of yours to become a voice, an opinion that people who are sought after, in the whole men's fashion world, whether that's just India or globally, in fact?
I mean, it's not my goal. I think it is something that comes with this career choice, and it's about how I embrace it and how I use it to aspects of my life. Always, I always remind myself to also maintain a private life, because suddenly I did not anticipate a lot of people sort of being so actively engaging in my life.
Right.
And it's about how you handle that. It's about how you appreciate the people who are appreciating you. It's about the times that you need to sort of step back and take time for yourself and maintain a personal bubble that is yours as well. So whether is it a goal of mine? No, but I mean, I'm happy to continue this journey and kind of see where it goes, and I'm sure I'll suddenly reach one point in my life where I feel it's no longer congruent with my goals, personal goals, or it is aiding in those personal goals, or it is sort of distracting from those personal goals. So again, like I said, I will continue the process of introspection and sort of checking in with myself and being like, is this still the person who I want to be? Is this still the person who I think I am? So as and when I do that, I think I will, you just kind of know. I mean, it's like I didn't know when I will walk into it and sort of take off on a certain tangent, but that same way I do not know when that tangent will also take off on its own and I will walk another path.
Yeah, I think it's always one thing to always keep in mind is that people like yourself and others who I've interviewed are never a finished product per se. Like, it sounds like you and others are not afraid to ever look at themselves and to decide, there might come a time when this is it, and you are fine to make a decision that something will change, even though you're in such positions, it doesn't mean it's okay, that's it. It's like things can change at any time, and if I am introspective enough, I might decide, no, this is not what I want to do now, and then you start over and do something,
Yeah, it's very important to always keep a bit of a reality check and stay grounded, because it is easy to get swayed in the world. It is easy to get caught up with the sensationalist side of it. It's very easy to get caught up in the whole circuit of parties and hanging out and selfies and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's like you have to keep yourself in check and keep yourself reminded that you are you. And are you still you at the end of the day? So
no, this is very true. Something I've noticed is remaining humble and just being yourself is something that you have to constantly think about and do. I know that sounds stupid, but it's quite easy. I've seen many people gain a place of or they've worked their way up to a certain position and they are seen with a certain crowd, and suddenly they lose track of who they actually are. They change their being and become someone who they're not really. And it sounds like you and others who I have spoken to, it's quite obvious that you keep a track on this, and remain humble throughout.
Yeah, but I think the only reason why I can say this is because I know I have allowed myself to let go at some places. I have allowed myself to give in to certain things.
Yeah.
Because it's also part of the experience and part of the experiment process of it, right? Like, it's like you have to start gauging, like when is it that you start feeling unlike yourself, or when is it that you feel at a better place with yourself.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that sort of give you that joy, that give you actual sort of inherent comfort with the fact that, I am choosing to do this, and I'm choosing to be a part of this, and I'm choosing to be okay with it. Because if you don't have that kind of grasp on yourself, then it's very easy to get swayed entirely and lose track of yourself. So just, stay grounded. Get a opinion that kind of always tells you to shut up sometimes.
Yeah.
It's important.
It's always
true,
good.
Because
it's always good.
I love it when somebody tells me.
Yeah, I mean, we all have different people, but it's always good to have a best friend or family even who can just tell you, shut up, stop being that person. That is not you. I think we all need that. at times.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's funny that, it can also be just like maybe an assistant in your team who kind of just be like, just looks at you funny and then be like, wait, is this still who I am? Like, it's a good, like, indicator of identifying definitely one person at least one person besides yourself that can sort of be like, hey, are you still there?
Yeah, no, this is a very good point you've made. It's a very good point. So yeah, I mean, it's been eye-opening, actually. Thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with us.
Most welcome.
Is there anything that you want to... Because what I want to do is that the people I'm speaking to, there will no doubt be people who tune in at some point and listen to your journey because that resonates with them and kind of where they want to head. Whether it's the exact job you're doing or whether it's just in the Indian men's fashion scene, etc. So for those kind of people listening, what have you got any advice that you would give to beginners starting out in this world, or even advice that you'd give yourself now, if you could talk to yourself starting this journey, what would you maybe say?
I would just say exactly what my professor said to me in university. Sometimes just talk less and do more.
My God, that's so good. That's so right.
Exactly. So I think it was very important that you get that. It's as simple as just keep going, keep doing it, keep trying, keep failing, keep learning, and eventually you will find exactly what it is that you need, because honestly, it's about the journey. It's not about the destination entirely, because by the time you reach the destination, then you're trying to figure out where next.
Yeah.
And that is what you need to be prepared for. So just use every sort of initial destination goal as a stepping stone to the next destination goal, because you have to keep aspiring to be where you want to end up eventually.
Bro, you've nailed it there. I'm going to keep that quote to myself. Speak less, do more.
You better, I expect a tattoo of that, Richard.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you better get a tattoo of that now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get it on my forehead because I'm really good at talking.
Great.
Anyway, bro, thank you so much for coming on, and I'll catch up with you soon.
Absolute pleasure.
Speak soon, bro. Bye.
Yeah, bye.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.